is lightning, it's the dream. Speed and drama, every turn on NFR, the rubber burns. Feel the thrill of every bend, where the champions transcend. Feel the power at NFR, burning tracks, driving far, where the races never end. NFR, only friend. Fernando calls the play on NFR every race day. Commentary sharp and loud, hyping up the roaring crowd. Feel the power at NFR, burning tracks, driving far, where the races never end. NFR, only friend. Not Fernando calls the play on NFR race day. Commentary sharp and loud, hyping up the roaring crowd. Feel the power at NFR, burning tracks, driving far, where the races never end. NFR, only friend. Deaf Queen, the top supporter scene, in the crowd where speed is keen. NFR, the place to be. Join the race, watch and see.
Sunday night, 6 p.m. Ooh, yeah. Engines roar, lights go dim. Yeah, yeah. Drama's high, hearts are race. Ooh, feel the heat, feel the pace. Oh, yeah. Speed and thrill, never slow. Zoom, zoom. Champions rise, they all know. They know. In the night, we come alive. Oh, SKR, we will drive. SKR at 6, 6. Feel the rush, feel the kicks, kicks. On the track, we survive. SKR, we thrive. Yeah, we thrive. Tires burn on the bends. Burn, burn. Rivals clash, no amends. Oh no, cheering crowd, feel the sound. Woo-hoo. SKR, world renowned. Dayton's night, under lights. Oh yeah, every turn, every fight. Pulses racing, here we go. Oh, go. SKR, steal the show. Show. Rev it up, race it fast. Fast, fast. Living dreams as we blast. Blast, blast. On this night, we won't rest. Rest, rest. SKR, we're the best. Yeah, the best. SKR at 6, 6. Feel the rush, feel the kicks, kicks. On the track, we survive. SKR, we thrive. Yeah, we thrive. SKR at 6, fix, fix. SKR at 6, 6. Feel the rush, feel the kicks, kicks. On the track, we survive. SKR, we thrive. Yeah, we thrive. Yeah, the best. Tires burn on the bends. Burn, burn. Rivals clash, no amends. Oh no, cheering crowd, feel the sound. Woohoo. SKR, world renowned. Renowned. Yeah, the best.
In the quiet lanes of Silverstone Town, folks are whispering about a boy falling down. Got a seat from his daddy, money's the king. Driving that Williams ain't like riding free. Tires spin, engines roar, but the podium's far. His wheels hit the gravel, now there's damage to the car. Got the world at his feet, yet he fumbles the lead. His dreams race away, but he's not in the speed. Daddy's money, daddy's ride, crashing dreams, nowhere to hide. Bought him a name that can't buy a skill. Lance keeps trying, but the track's all uphill. Now he's got his own team with a famous name. Aston Martin's the brand, but it's still the same shame. Every corner, every turn, the crashes unfold. Dreams wrapped in carbon fiber, truth left untold. Paddock folks shake their heads with a sigh as the green car spins and the hopes run dry. No matter the funds, it's a harsh game of pain. $1 million toys can't shelter the rain. Daddy's money, daddy's ride, crashing dreams, nowhere to hide. Bought him a name but can't buy a skill. Lance keeps trying, but the track's all uphill. Daddy's money, daddy's ride, crashing dreams, nowhere to hide. Bought him a name but can't buy a skill. Lance keeps trying, but the track's all uphill. Lance keeps trying, but the track's all uphill.
Engines roll, tracks on fire. Sunday night feels like a wire. Heart beats and grow a tire.
Daddy bought him a seat at Williams, hoping his boy would make him proud. But every turn was filled with slip-ups in a sea of screaming crowds. The wheels would spin, the dream would fade. Another crash, another frown. He couldn't keep up with the legends, always letting his team down. Oh, Lance, he's living on a prayer, with Daddy's money everywhere. But buying dreams ain't buying skill. He's crashing hard round every hill. When the axe came down and hope seemed lost, Dad bought Aston, spare no cost. Another chance, another goal, but he's still spinning out so slow. He hits the walls, he finds the grass, breaking hopes with every pass. He's got the power, got the name, but all he brings is crash and shame. On the grid he's just a shadow of the heroes racing past. No amount of cash can save him from a future that's fading fast. Oh, Lance, he's living on a prayer, with Daddy's money everywhere. But buying dreams ain't buying skill. He's crashing hard round every hill, round every hill. When the axe came down and hope seemed lost, Dad bought Aston, spared no cost. Another chance, another goal, but he's still spinning out so slow. He hits the walls, he finds the grass, breaking hopes with every pass. He's got the power, got the name, but all he brings is crash and shame. On the grid, he's just a shadow of the heroes racing past. No amount of cash can save him from a future that's fading fast. They roared into 24 engines on fire. Max and his Red Bull racing with desire. Sergio followed, but he stumbled and trailed. In the season's first half, their victories held. Max was a lion on tracks burned gold, but halfway through the season, the car grew cold. Perez Tony struggling in his quest. Lance in his own right outdid him at best. Falling wings down from the skies, Red Bull sinking as the season flies. Max fights to keep his lid alive, while Sergio stumbles, just survive. That checkered flag once seemed a sure thing, but fortunes change fast in the racing ring. Mechanical troubles and the handling wrong. The champions yesterday now sing a broken song. Max is holding on by a thin red line, each turn a battle and every lap a time. Perez in shadows where hopes lay slain, every pit stop a prayer for racing's gain. Falling wings down from the skies, Red Bull sinking as the season flies. Max fights to keep his lid alive, while Sergio stumbles, just survives. Down from the skies, Red Bull sinking as the season flies. Max fights to keep his lid alive, while roaring, speed and drama every turn on NFR. The rubber burns, feel the thrill of every bend, where the champions transcend. Feel the power at NFR, burning tracks, driving far, where the races never end. NFR, only friend. Like Fernando calls the play on NFR every race day. Commentary sharp and loud, hyping up the roaring crowd. Feel the power at NFR, burning tracks, driving far, where the races never end. NFR, only friend. Not Fernando calls the play on NFR at race day. Commentary sharp and loud, hyping up the roaring crowd. Feel the power at NFR, burning tracks.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome back. Welcome back to SKR here on NFR on a Sunday afternoon for the final time in 2024. Of course, this is the season finale, season 9, round 13. And just as F1 ended off its 24-round season earlier this afternoon, SKR rounds off their 13 rounds. we go. Good evening, everybody. Welcome back. Back to Sunday afternoons with SKR. Of course, tonight's the final round of Season 9, Round 13. We started off with some serious technical issues. It feels like I need a new microphone. Hopefully, twisted setup I just came up with will be able to hold together till the end of the race. Of course, I haven't been looking too much at qualifying, unfortunately. I've been trying to sort all of this out, so looking at the order, Reese, the provisional pole sitter with a 22.5, and not far behind is Convoy in P2, Virus 3 with 3-4. Star will take no further part. He's crossed the checkered flag. Levy, he could still find an improvement, still out on track. Maybe one of the last drivers, if not the last driver, to go over the line. And he's not going to find an improvement. He dives off into the pits. It's his chums. Maybe one of the drivers leaving it late, and is he entering the pits as well? Yes, he is. Is there anyone else out on tracks to watch for? There is Virus. About to go over the line. Current best 22.8. Crosses the checkered flag. He's going to stay just there in P3. Let me know in the comment section if you can hear me. I haven't even asked. I haven't even really looked at the comment section. I've been running around. Found my extra mic. And to find out that my extra mic, well, no longer works. To go and find some ancient stuff, put it together. But we managed to get things going just before the end of quali, and luckily for all of you, we're not going to miss any of the race. Well, hopefully. Of course, remember here at FAR Drivers' Championship and Constructors has been sorted. Reese, the man on pole position, that is your champion, your Season 9 champion. Going to be leading the field away. Convoy P2, then Virus P3, it's Fareed P4. They're followed by Panther Star, Levy, Skull, Andre, Mr. Rems, Pikes, Top Gun, Harsh Cartoon, Chums. Is that Sugar Bear? I believe that's Sugar Bear. Who else is at the bottom here? It's Jan Akmagozi. And unfortunately, I didn't get all of that. So of course now we go straight into the race. It was just the short quali session, the format we're all used to. Now drivers will be doing their final preparations for the race. Of course, this is it for SKR in 2024. They will be making a return to this channel. Hopefully they don't go anywhere else. That will be in the new year. Updates will be posted on the channel as we get that information. But of course, for tonight, still have one more to go. Might not have a Drivers' Championship or a Constructors' Championship up for grabs, but still lots of positions in the midfield yet to be decided and lots to play for. Of course, first we're going to get the dual green lights, which means we're not going to start racing straight away. First off, we're going to get a formation lap. This allows all of the drivers to get one more round around this circuit. They're going to get a feel for a heavy fuel tank. Of course, in qualifying, this car would have been set up to perfection. As little fuel as possible. The tyre with the most grip available. But when it comes to the race, you have to set things up slightly differently. You can't go out there on the softs. They're not going to last you very long. It's more of a long game. Of course, a lot more fuel in the car. Car's going to feel a little different. championship. He's going to lead the field. Of course, he was not able to win the SAFRL championship last week. That's going to go down to tomorrow night. The same two drivers involved for P1 and 2. Wheeze and It's Free. Over here, they're Aston Martin teammates. Over there, the one drives for Aston Martin, the other one drives for Mercedes. And now the drivers begin to line up for the final time. Of course, safety cars are always a possibility. Something the drivers would like to stay clear of. And look at the angle of that McLaren. That is a very aggressive starting position from Convoy. He's going to try and come across and cover Wheeze. He's going to have to get a fantastic start to get that done. The McLaren does come across the circuit. Very aggressive starting position, but it's not enough. He's going to have to just tuck in behind Wheeze for turn 1. And that's exactly what he does. Virus P3, Panterstar's picked up a position early on. He's up into P4. Actually, he's just lost that position down into P5. It's Free makes up a position. The Aston Martins 1 and 4. Those two drivers continuing to tell the story of the season. It's 2 Williams, P7, P8. That's Skull and Andre. Then you've got the first of the 2 Ferraris, Mr. Rem in P9, Top Gun in P10. Mr. Rem's just made up a position up into P8. Things looking frantic at the start of the race, of course. This is the most difficult and most dangerous, but also the most opportunistic part of the race. You can make up so many positions in these early stages. Everybody's still so close together. Nobody's far away from a mistake. This is when you can make up the most positions if you're starting towards the rear of the field, but this is also where you can destroy your entire race. Make a big mistake on lap 1. It's going to be quite difficult to come back from. So Wheeze out front, Convoy, Virus, Free, Levy, Pantry Star, a pair of Williams, Skull just ahead of Andre, then Mr. Rem, Top Gun in P10. Outside the points, Spikes P11, Oshkosh 2 and P12, Chums 13. We've got Sugar Bear 14, we've got Skulk in P15, I think it is, Jan 16, Akinabozi 17. Joe Kutsia, who rounds out the field. At the front, Convoy gets past the Season 9 champion. Leads the race. We says you can lead it for a while. You have fun defending the DRS zone. Virus still holding firm in P3. The leaders have just swapped positions again, but Wheeze now into the lead of the race. So if if Virus was having any issues holding on to these two, they're making it much more easy for the rest of the field to hold on to them. They're trading places, going wheel to wheel. Free, the second Aston Martin, had to take this championship as far as he could. Just one too many good performances from his teammate. Still part of a winning championship, because of course he won the Constructors' Championship along with his teammate. He's still out front. Convoy still in P2, off the second is the gap between the two. Then Virus in P3, getting dangerously close to falling out of DRS. It's Free, speaking of DRS, opens up. going to stay in P4 for now. Levy, another quick driver, slightly out of position. We can expect to see him higher up the field. We know he's got the pace to do it. Currently in P5. Bantry Star P6, another quick driver. A pair of Williams. Well, if you're the team chief, probably going to be biting your nails. Those two teammates getting a little bit close together. Of course, they will be in contact. I doubt they will be making contact. They'll be speaking to each other. They'll be knowing what's going on. They are on the same strategy. Something I've mentioned before on this stream. I'll mention it again. It's the one downside to being able to match your teammate lap after lap when you're on the same strategy. It's when that pit window does come. Somebody's going to get the advantage. The other one is going to have to do an extra lap trying to avoid that double stack. Then those cars get separated by the pit window. McLaren out front as we did earlier on this afternoon. Of course, McLaren going on to win their first Constructors title since 1998. That would have been Mika Hakkinen and David Coulthard. Of course, they won that championship the year before as well. 1997 and 1998. Very dominant years for the then McLaren Mercedes team. In a car designed by, you'd never guess it, Adrian Newey. Jan picks up a 3-second time penalty, so now we've got time penalties for Sugar Bear and Jan early stages in the race. It's now lap 5. Two Aston Martins doing what they've been doing the entire season now. P2, P3, Convoy still the man out front, but for how much longer? We'll be questioning, is the driver behind playing around, waiting for the opportunity? Just keep on applying the pressure and applying the pressure until something's got to give. We've seen Convoy at the front of the order many times before. It's not the type to just give in to pressure. At the rear of the field, Joe Kutsia still making up the field. Got the pair of Haas drivers, P16 and 17, that's Skulk and Aknagozi. They're relatively close together on circuit, just separated by 1.1 seconds. Then Chums just up the road from them in the kick salver, the only kick salver here this evening. Jan in P14, we just saw him pick up a penalty. Sugar Bear also with a penalty of his own, also just for 3 seconds, nothing too harsh for anyone just yet. Speaking of harsh cartoon in P12, then Mr. Rem, the second of the two Ferraris, P11. The other Ferrari just up the road from him and the last car in the points, Spikes, P10. One of the Red Bulls, or the only Red Bull, in fact one of the Red Bulls, Top Gun P9, his teammate up in P6. So far this is looking like a good result for the McLaren team, for the Aston Martin team. We've seen so many times how quickly things can slip in a race. Things look like you've got everything sorted out, and then all of a sudden it all falls apart. Lap 6 of 29. Take this opportunity to thank everybody who's watching, everybody who's joined us for a majority of the season, whether it was in this league or whether it was in another league. There's lots of you watch multiple times a week. I've got a bit of a kick over the last week. I'm not quite sure what happened, but it fell into some or other algorithm. We've picked up a few subscribers, we've passed the 500 mark, and of course the next stop has to be 1k. Wheeze still leads the way, 4/10 of a second. And I say I don't know what's going on. I really don't know what's going on, because we've officially had 2,300 views in the last 48 hours. Wheeze out front from Convoy, then Levy. So there was 2 Aston Martins on the podium, now there's 2 McLarens on the podium, as it's Ferrari just got us down to P4. Got 2 separate battles here for P1 and then another battle for P3, and they both involve the same cars, so we're getting very confusing. Battle for the lead, McLaren attacks an Aston Martin. Battle for P3, and McLaren attacks an Aston Martin. Exactly the same scenario. It's Virus P5, Pantry Star P6. Those Williams still running close together, just separated by 4/10 of a second. So impressive. Sometimes these drivers, different equipment, sometimes different setups, and then they're just able to match each other lap after lap, almost getting the identical result with such a different base. Of course, these two know each other very well. Not only are they teammates, they know each other a little better than that. I wouldn't be too surprised if they were sharing a setup. If that is the case, well, they're matching each other lap after lap to a 10th. Fantastic driving from the pair of Williams. Still got all the drivers we started the race with. We started with 18, we still have 18, and that's fantastic. Of course, remember, it's the finale. Get to the end of the season and have a field like this, a field of 18 drivers right at the end in December, when the numbers should be low. Really just shows the consistency of this field, the loyalty of this field, showing up every Sunday, even when the championship's been over for a round or two. That's exactly what you want to see. You don't want to see championships dropping off towards the end. You want to see action right until the end. Convoy, here's the man in the lead now. We said there were 2 McLarens on the podium. Well, now they've switched again. There's 2 Aston Martins on the podium. The car out front is indeed a McLaren. 2024 Constructors Champions. That is probably something McLaren would not have been able to predict at the beginning of this season. The beginning of the season looked like Red Bull had that wrapped up. And how quickly things can change. Of course, in this championship, it's been the Aston Martins from the beginning to the end. That's why you can see their dominance, their absolute dominance in the championships. Just a quick look at the Drivers' Championship. Hopefully I've done this correctly. There we go. Wheeze, 245 points, absolute domination. The next car, just 177. That's his teammate. No longer mathematically possible to win that. That is why Wheeze is our Season 9 champion. Well, you look at that, I got one of them wrong. Here's our Constructors. 440 points to Aston Martin, so that's been cleared, but you can still see position P3 still up for grabs in the Constructors. So lots to play for. Usually I bring up a calendar at this point, but no need for a calendar. This is the final round. Riding with the leaders, Convoy from Wheeze, 3/10 of a second is the gap. Then you have to go 4.5 seconds down the road to find the next battle. It's 2 cars that look very similar to the 2 up the road. It's Ferrari and Levy. They're battling for P3. Virus P4, Pantry Star P6. Then the pair of Williams, still running very close together. They've just traded places once or twice. Last time we checked on them, Andre was ahead. Now Skull, the car ahead. See, just towing each other around in DRS, giving each other an advantage lap after lap, while not spending too much time battling each other. Of course, that's where you lose the most time. It's when you start to engage whether you're attacking, whether you're defending, the full focus is not on lap time, and that's when lap time starts to slip away. Mr. M exits the very famous pit exit here in Abu Dhabi. It's the only pit exit that goes under a circuit. Speaking of this Abu Dhabi pit complex, what if I told you the Abu Dhabi pit complex cost more than buying the land, rebuilding Kyalami, and upgrading it to grade 1 status? Total cost, buying the land, rebuilding the circuit, upgrading it to F1 status, the total cost of everything is going to come up to about 700 million rand when all said and done. Of course, the pit complex here in Abu Dhabi cost $500 million to build. That should put it into perspective why we have so many races in the Middle East these days. But at least given us some pretty good circuits. This one here was not too popular when it was first introduced to the calendar. With the addition of DRS, it has changed certain elements of the circuit, and it's actually become a favorite for the season finale. Can't imagine F1 ending things anywhere else. Convoy from Wheeze, those two sticking close together, matching each other lap after lap. Another two matching each other lap after lap is it's Larry and Levy. Virus P5, Pantry Star P6. There's Williams refusing to part ways. Just half a second in between them. Andre now the lead. Williams yet again having going past Skull. Remember, that's going to be crucial when they arrive at their pit window. The car ahead is probably going to be the car that gets to pit first. Second Williams will be too close. There's now a couple of pit stops. You can just see those Williams jumping ahead. They both started on the hard compound, so I don't expect to see them pit just yet. They're going to go a little bit deeper into the race, but it is going to be a very interesting scenario for the teammates when that pit window does arrive. Who's going to get first use of those mechanics? Because obviously the driver who gets second use is going to lose a little bit of time in the overcut. Can I call it an overcut? I don't really care. I'm calling it an overcut. Wheeze up the inside one more time. They go wheel to wheel, but not this time round. Convoy just keeps his foot in it, closes the door, says if you're going to take this, well, you're going to have to pull off some very, very brave moves. Convoy holds on to the lead. Wheeze P2, then Pantry Star still. Said still, but Pantry Star has been promoted into P3. Of course, he has not made a pit stop. He's one of the drivers that started on the medium. We expect him to come in shortly, if not this lap, then next. But I do expect him to respond on this lap and come into the pits. Let's see what the Red Bull does. Indeed, goes towards the inside, jumps on the brakes to slow down for that speed limiter. And Pantry Star now dives into the pits. Convoy and Wheeze, still your leaders. Remember, they started on the hard tyre. That was some very, very bright light. Goodness me. But if you hear thunder shortly, that's why. So Convoy and Wheeze continue. When do you pull the plug if you're on the hard compound? Help me out in the comment section. I see there's 8 of you in the comment section, but nobody's helping me out. Let me know. Hard tyre, started on the hard tyre. What sort of lap time can we expect you to come in? I was thinking in the comment box round about lap 16, lap 17. Let me know, is that too early? Is it too late? What do you think the hards are capable of? We've already seen the drivers that started the race on the medium for the most part. They've all come in and got rid of that medium. think the last example of this is Skulk in P15. He's on a set of mediums he started the race on, yet to make a pit stop. He's got chums, slightly out of sync with everybody else on that tyre life. I'm going to presume he had to come into the pits for damage. Same for Akmagozi. He's on a 3-lap old set tyres. I'm not sure if that pit stop was a result of damage. It may have been a regular pit stop. Looking at it now, Joe Kutsia, 28 seconds adrift. And those are the mediums he started the race on, yet to pit. Back at the front, Convoy. Now look at that, fastest lap, Levy 125.8, and that's the difference between the old tyres and the new tyres. The guys at the front are not able to match the guys in the midfield with the new tyre. So keep your eyes on Levy. Of course, he's one of the 2 McLaren drivers. There he is in P7. He's going to be looking to make up positions. He's going to have that superior grip. Unfortunately for him, the car in front's going to have that same advantage. It's Ferrari. Made a pit stop on the very same lap, so he's also got brand new hards. They'll be racing towards the leaders, trying to make up as much ground as they can before those leaders coming to get rid of their old aging hards. Of course, that's the way a one-stop works. In the beginning of the race, you're going to have half the field with the harder of the tyres, half the field with the softer of the tyres. That means in the beginning, anyone on the softer tyre is going to have the advantage. Well, if you started the race on the harder tyre, it means your advantage and your fastest laps, they're coming at the end. We are just over halfway distance, lap 15 of 29. Convoy from Wheeze, Andre P3, Skull P4, those Williams. Keep your eyes on the Williams. Of course, we need to see when they are going to pit. They've got cars all around them on the same strategy, 14-lap-old hards. Makes the Williams unique is they're the only 2 teammates in touching distance of each other, and they're going to have to make that decision. Who pits first? Who's going to get the advantage, and who's going to take one for the team? Of course, they would be hoping for the ideal result. The ideal result would be a safety car. You could both come in. The double stack wouldn't have too much of an effect if everyone was driving around at slow speed because of that safety car. I do need to get myself a new microphone because this is a very uncomfortable seating position. Hopefully we get everything going for tomorrow night. Of course, tomorrow night will be the final live broadcast on the channel for 2024. We might have a special event or 2. But nothing has been announced, so as of now, this is your penultimate round on NFR 2024. And these 2 here have given us, what a race they've given us right at the end of the season. Wheeze versus Convoy, wheel to wheel, over and over again, switching positions over and over again. And these 2, just can't separate them, can you? Of course, one option we've seen actually in real life is that the second car just tends to drop off a little bit. Try and drop off about a second and a half. That way you can come into the pits on the same lap as your teammate. But of course you're going to have to sacrifice that time, otherwise you just have to stay out there for one more lap and hope that the undercut isn't more powerful than that 1.5 seconds I mentioned earlier. Second McLaren running in P5. A lot of pace earlier on. Of course, he has made his pit stop. There's a 4-lap old hards. drivers in front of him. Somebody's come into the pits. It's Skull. Skull will be the first Williams coming into the pits. We were asking the question over and over, who's going to take the advantage and who's going to take one for the team. It looks like Andre's going to take one for the team. Of course, what this means is when Skull comes out on track, he's got much fresher tyres. He's able to go a lot faster. Andre has to continue circulating the circuit on aging tyres, going slower than he'd like, which means by the time he gets back to the pits and back out, what was just a gap of half a second, maybe a gap of 1.5 seconds or even 2 seconds, really depending on how powerful that undercut is and how clean Skull's outlap will be. This is the top Williams at the moment, P3, no pit stop just yet. It's Ferrari in a very, very strong position. We haven't spoken too much about it. It's Ferrari, but he's in P4. Things have just gone a little quiet with him, but remember, he's done his pit stop. He did a different strategy to his teammate. So when his teammate does eventually come in, those two are going to be very close together. At the moment, there's about 20 seconds between the two teammates. Pit stop around here is 23 seconds. Really depends how careful the driver is on that pit exit. Some of them take a little bit longer to get out of the pits than they'd like. We've even seen instances of drivers picking up front wing damage on that pit exit. So you've got to be really careful, but you've got to be really aggressive on the pit exit at the same time, otherwise you're just going to lose an incredible amount of time. My prediction apparently was incorrect. These two have somehow come out just on top of each other yet again. The Williams, P6 and 7. They went into that pit window. I thought they were going to be separated because of an undercut. But Andre did very, very well on that final lap, on that in lap just before his pit stop. He was able to minimize the damage. And he's in fact got Skull behind him by 6/10. Skull has picked up a penalty, as have a few drivers. Just bring up that information for you on your screen. 3-second penalties going the way of Skull, going the way of Sugar Bear, Top Gun, Virus, Spikes, and as well as Skulk. And then we have a 6-second penalty going the way of Jan. Nothing too serious. Of course, we saw penalties last week, some insane penalties. We saw penalties reaching the 20-second mark. Abu Dhabi, very wide circuit, one of the more modern circuits, lots of runoff. That's why you don't see that many retirements. If you're going to retire from this race, it's probably going to be a collision with another car, or very, very bad luck to be able to find a barrier around here. Lots of runoff, lots of face. This is the lead Ferrari, of course. Ferrari in the 2024 title, getting second in the Constructors' Championship. So Red Bull not only losing that Constructors' Championship, they lost runner-up in the Constructors as well. Of course, we're all going to keep our eyes peeled to the F1 news. We're looking to see what is next for the likes of Sergio Perez. Convoy, the leader, visits the pits. Where is Rees? Rees. How close is this going to be? Rees goes in. Where is Convoy? He's going under the circuit. Rees is on top and he's going to come out. This is going to be very close between the two, is it? And somehow, Rees leads the way. It's Ferrari 1 second back. Of course, he should have the warmer tyres between the two, so he should be able to close up just initially, but once those mediums get up to temperature, he's going to have a very, very difficult time of staying with his teammate. But this is just more of what we've seen all season. Aston Martin 1, Aston Martin 2, and then McLaren's P3 and 4. showing some support for Weeze out front. Showing support for all of these guys. Big supporter of Andre, big supporter of Skull. Let's start the game. That's just some very loud cars outside. Weeze from Convoy, 1.3 seconds. This is pretty much the biggest the gap has been throughout the race. Convoy's been able to match Weeze. In fact, they've gone side by side. They've traded places on multiple occasions. But now, just a 1.2-second gap between the two drivers. You've got to wonder, is Convoy going to be able to break into DRS? If he breaks into DRS, it's going to get a lot easier for him. He's going to be able to catch up to the rear of that Aston Martin pretty quickly. But the further he falls out of DRS, the more difficult things are going to become. So Season 9 champion and the leader of the finale. All comes down to this. You saw the thumbnail. The thumbnail said the end is near. And yes, there was a picture of Sergio Perez, and there was absolutely no hidden messaging behind that. Well, message. Looking for some DRS battles in the field, and here's one of them. It's Ferrari versus Levy. Battle looks like it may have settled down between the Aston Martin and the McLaren at the front, but it definitely hasn't settled down for the Aston Martin and the McLaren. In P3 and 4, Weeze just sets the fastest lap of the race, 24.8, and what a time to do it. This is when you need to be putting in your best laps, and that's exactly what he's doing. His very best laps. Pantry Star P5, the two Williams still close together, 0.6 of a second covering the two. Top Gun in P6, then Ashkar 2 in P9, Spikes P10. And then just outside the points, we've got Jan, Virus, Sugar Bear, Mr. M, Chums, Skulk, Apnogozi, and Joe Kutsia. Weeze still out front. And Convoy. And this is crucial. This is crucial. Did Weeze make a mistake? Either Weeze made a mistake or Convoy dug deep into his pockets and he found a whole lot of pace. Or it was a combination of the two, because we saw the gap was going in the wrong direction. It was getting further and further out of DRS, but all of a sudden it's very much in DRS. The gap just 0.6 of a second between these two with just 7 laps to go. Or is it 6 laps to go? Who knows? 3-second penalty going the way of Jan. That'll take his tally up to 9 seconds. Sort of thing that can really ruin your race. And if you do get a late safety car, it's the sort of thing that can just put a nail in the coffin of your race. 2 Williams, I'll say it again. So close together. This is probably the result of these drivers doing a lot of laps, doing a lot of practice together. Just gets to a point you're just able to match each other, just drive in tune with each other. That's what they've been able to do, and they're working as teammates. It might be a very different situation if they were in 2 different liveried cars. Don't think they'd be playing quite so nice with each other. Convoy looked like he may have been out of it just 2.5 laps ago. But now he's laying down the challenge once more, and now look at this, side by side. Is he going to go around the outside? Yes, he is. He's going to go around the outside. Does Weeze have any sort of damage to that Aston Martin? We try and get a look at it now. Aston Martin does look like it's got all its bits and pieces, but Convoy, he's just found something. He's found something in the late stages. But surely Weeze is going to have to come back at him immediately. Joe Kitsia with another 3-second penalty that'll be added on to his race time. Lots and lots of penalties showing up, even though this is one of the widest circuits on the calendar. Drivers always feel the need to find that little bit extra, trying to use all of the tarmac, and occasionally you go over the limit. In the case of some of these drivers, well, they've gone over the limit a few times. There's a harsh reality. You're using all of the racetrack, you're just looking for that little bit extra in lap time, that extra tenth, that extra half a tenth in some cases. And you go over that line and all of a sudden you lose 3 seconds. Then you realize how difficult is it to find a tenth. How am I going to get those 3 seconds back? Lots of support tonight in the viewers section. See, a lot of you are here. We've topped out at 16 viewers. We've dropped a few now, but if you haven't left a like, remember to leave a like. If you haven't subscribed, if this is your first visit to the channel, where have you been? Welcome. Of course, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Leave a like on the video and hit the notification bell so that every time we do go live, you'll be the first to know about it. Convoy, Weeze, these two, I've said their names a little bit too often tonight. What else is happening further down the field? Lap 25 of 29, it's Free still on the defensive. Now Levy's just slightly fallen. No, he hasn't, he's back at 6/10. So close between all of these drivers. Pantry Star having a race of his own. He's 10 seconds behind Levy and 5 seconds ahead of Andre. Then the two Williams. Such an interesting scenario to find yourself in. Really depends how much you like your teammate. Sometimes this can be fun, other times it can be a little annoying. Of course, the car you're matching happens to be your teammate. The last thing you want to do is hit him. The last thing you want to do is take both opponents out of the race. So you're racing slightly differently than you would with any other opponent. That's what we see, or that's what we saw on Tuesday night when we had the League Championship. Of course, that was 12 rounds on this channel not so long ago, and that was where 5 drivers would drive as a team. And drivers you would usually see going wheel to wheel, fighting each other for the lead, all of a sudden working as a team, letting each other go by. Very different when you're racing your teammate, unless you're racing your teammate for the title. And that's the scenario we had at Aston Martin. Unfortunately for Ferrari, just ran out of legs. Pantry Star still lonely, just having a very comfortable race, coming on the back of Joe Kitsia now to lap that Alpine. F1 will look slightly different in 2025. Gonna have Lewis Hamilton in red. It'll take a little bit getting used to. Carlos Sainz in a Williams, Ocon in a Haas, Hulkenberg in a Sauber, and a lot of rookies. Of course, don't forget Kimi Antonelli in a Merc. It's lap 27 of 29. The thumbnail said we're getting to the end is near, and the end is definitely near. Not long to go now. We're in the closing stages of the race. This could come down to a battle of, I've said this before this season, but it's similar to oval racing in a way. You don't want to be the lead car on that last lap. You want to have the advantage of DRS on your last lap. So very interesting scenario here for both drivers. Convoy, Weeze, when are you going to take the lead? When do you want to be in the lead? Well, Weeze is happy to take the lead for now. Forget about further back. Veree and Levy fighting for P3. That gap has grown, so Levy's fallen out of DRS there. Two Williams still close together, but I don't see any battling between those two coming anytime soon. Then Top Gun Spikes. Oshkosh has actually just got past Spikes, so puts one of the Mercedes up into P9. Now Virus. Wonder if Spikes has an issue. Did Spikes go off circuit? Quickly join the Ferrari, and our attention goes to the front wing. Does it have any damage? Doesn't appear to be the case, but he definitely spent a little bit of time off the circuit because he's lost a few positions. We very briefly had both Mercedes inside the points, but Sugar Bear has got back past Virus to put one of the Alpines in the points. 28 of 29. Convoy and Wheeze, 1.5 tenths of a second. How do you call this one? Simply cannot be done. Wheeze and Convoy, because they're approaching, I think that is Chums. Is that Chums? I think it is Chums on his way to getting lapped. There's only the one Kickstarter on the circuit. Of course, that car will ghost, so they can simply drive through it. If that isn't the case, it can seriously affect the battle for the lead. But even though the car does ghost, sometimes it's just enough to get your attention, break your concentration. Queen commenting, good race between Convoy and Wheeze, and it most certainly is. These guys have been inseparable. Look at this, 0.2 of a second. This is after 29 laps. These guys have been going at it lap after lap for 29 laps. Of course, this isn't something we see too often. We've done the full race distance without any stoppage. No virtual safety car, no safety car. And in fact, I don't even remember, maybe there was one, I don't remember seeing yellow flags. So it's been a very clean race. We definitely have 1 or 2 or 3 more penalties than we would like. It's not going to affect any of the drivers in the top 3. All of those drivers are clean. Levy got the 3-second penalty, but Pantry Star's far enough behind not to affect. And right at the end, Wheeze said who's going to have the DRS at the very end. Convoy's not going to let things go just like that. They go wheel to wheel. We get a terrible camera angle. Here's something a little better. McLaren opens up the DRS, but he's going to have to go the long way around. He's going to have to go the outside, and he's done it perfectly. He got ahead before he needed to turn in, and Convoy might have timed this to absolute perfection. Not long to go. They're well into Sector 3, lap 29 of 29, and Convoy's the lead car at exactly the right time. The only thing that could take this away is a massive miss of a braking point, but he's not going to do that because he's gone around this corner so many times before and got it just right. He goes over the line. He beats the Season 9 champion, so that'll give him a bit of confidence going off into Season 10 whenever Season 10 does make a return. A little further down the field we get X4 going over the line, then Levy, then Pantry Star. We're waiting for the pair of Williams. We were promised donuts. How they're going to pull this off, we're not quite sure. They're going next to each other, wheel to wheel, nice to see. Don't want to lose too much time. Top Gun well behind them. 17.5 seconds, but the Williams will go over the line next to each other. Maybe a bit of a donut over the line. Nothing of it. So the Williams over the line, P6, P7, that is Season 9 for them. Then Top Gun, still waiting for Harsh Cartoon to come around the final corner. Sugar Bear will take that final point, keeps Virus out of the points. It's a good drive for the Alpine driver. And Virus just going very, very slowly. He's going to give us a bit of a donut. And that's some good sportsmanship. The Ferrari could have taken the position, but instead they're going to do some synchronized donuts. Yes, there was a bit of a pause there. I was trying to figure out the word synchronized. Well, there goes a third Ferrari, so this is fun. Look at this. There's donuts everywhere. Don't know how Pirelli's going to feel about that. They were hoping to get some data out of that tyre, but there's going to be no data left. Lots and lots of donuts out on circuit. We're now just waiting for one car to officially go over the line, and it's this one here. You better get going or you're going to get disqualified. Hopefully that won't be the case, and he's been disqualified. He wasn't in the points anyway. I don't think it's going to bother him too much. But a DSQ for Mr. M to finish things off. Driver of the day does go to Sugar Bear. Driver I don't think I've commentated on before, so if that is the case, fantastic debut. Let's mute this game. In fact, I've already muted it too late, so I'm going to be snipping things a little later. Here we go, let's go through your results for the final time in Season 9. Convoy takes the victory for McLaren. Then we got the pair of Aston Martins, Weeze P2, it's Ferrari P3, double Aston Martin podium. Then the second of the two McLarens in P4, Pantry Star P5. Then the pair of Williams, you couldn't get them separated all race, P5 and make it P6 and P7. Top Gun P8, Harsh Cartoon P9, and Sugar Bear. We saw he got driver of the day. Started in P14, got himself into the points. No points on the night for Spikes P11, Virus P12, then Chums 13, Skulk 14, Akmagozi 15, Jan 16, Joe Kutsia 17, and then obviously Mr. M with the DSQ right at the end. We're now just going to take 2 minutes and I will be back with you, well, in 2 minutes.
Turn on the screen, it's NFR. Feel the rush like a shooting star. The engines roar, the tires scream. Fast as lightning, it's the dream. Speed and drama, every turn on NFR. The rubber burns. Feel the thrill of every bend. Where the champions transcend.
That was a little shorter than 2 minutes. We've got a few drivers in the cool down room. I'm going to try to bring them into the comms box. We did have a big issue earlier on with the mic, and I had to mess around with all sort of settings, so I hope I haven't messed anything up and that you will be able to hear them. I'm going to start bringing them in one by one. Guys, if you are listening to the stream in the background, do just put the volume lower or mute it. Otherwise, we're all going to be listening to ourselves a few times over. So I am bringing the guys into the room at the moment. None of you can hear them, so I'm going to try and sort this out. I can see here on my screen nobody's going to be able to hear that. There we go. Now they're going to be, well, not now, I just need to unmute you, but now they should be able to hear you. So let's see, unmute, and there we go. Welcome everybody to the comms box. We've actually got 5 drivers here: Harsh Cartoon, Andre, Spikes, Skull, and Virus. Welcome everybody to the final post-race interview of the season. One by one. I suppose we can start with Andre. How was that?
Yeah,
How was SKR Season 9? And when do we get
could have
going
been
again?
could have been better. I enjoyed driving with Skull this season, and yeah, thanks to everybody that helps make SKR what it is today. Without everybody SKR won't be there. So yeah, thanks to everybody, thanks to you, and yeah, thanks to my mom and my dad and my
And your agent and your
and my sponsors.
oh, where are those sponsors? I need one or two of those. We're gonna moving over to the second Williams driver. That would be Skull. Skull, tell me a little bit
Hello.
about racing your teammate from beginning to end. Is it a little bit more difficult than racing any other opponent? You have to drive within yourself, or were you guys sort of just matching each other and not taking any time out of each other?
At the start, I was kind of trying to race him, but when we broke out of the DRS, we started working together and trying to catch the guys up front. It didn't work out that good, but we made a good gap behind, so it was more teamwork than racing.
Good way to finish off the season for Williams. We've also got Virus. Virus, I believe you finished P11 if I'm not mistaken, just outside the points. How
Yeah,
was your
somewhere
race
around.
and how was your season?
Yeah, I had a good race. I just want to go review one incident I had. But it was fun. I mean, I have to say, the season for SKR, I have to say, first of all, congratulations to Weeze for Drivers' Championship, and of course Weeze and Fari that took the constructors in the Aston Martin. Congratulations to them. I mean, aliens on a next level, I want to say, because no one could catch them. I know Conboy had a nice battle with Weeze tonight, which was actually fun to give him some competition at the end of the day as well. Fernando, thanks for your commentating. I mean, without you, the viewers would not actually know about SKR as much as they do with your commentary and your channel that you give and your broadcast that you give to the viewers. Thank you for your commentary, and of course, a special, very very special thank you to Andre. Um, Most of you don't know what the background stuff that needs to happen in background, especially when managing a league. There's a lot of background talk and all that, and Andre was basically running it this whole season with me being absent for a month, and he just kept on doing it. And when I came back, and Andre, baie dankie vir jou. Ek waardeer al die moeite wat jy ingesit het in die league en die natuurlik met die results, die credit maker, al daai goeters. Ek wil net sê baie dankie vir jou vir al die effort wat jy ingesit het in die laaste wel 3 maande, kom ons noem dit so, want van die begin tot die einde het jy aangegaan met dit.
You're the
Yeah, thanks.
man.
It's a
And
plezier.
if you're sitting watching at
It's a
home,
suck fault.
if you're sitting watching at home, I can tell you the English subtitles do work.
That's awesome.
Yeah, no, it's actually quite funny. I had a video that did pretty well. It had like 2,000 views or something, and for some reason, about 600 of the views were done with a Turkish subtitle. So
Oh,
very, very, very
weird.
strange. Still got another two drivers in here we haven't mentioned. That would be Harsh Cartoon and Spikes. So Harsh Cartoon, let's start with you. Tell me a little bit about your race. You were in one of the Mercedes, am I correct?
That's correct, yeah. With my teammate being absent and Andre kept doing it. So, yeah, thanks to Andre and for you, Fernando. Yeah, that's it. I was a turtle, like always, full TC.
TC King.
That's it. So, yeah, but thank you all. It's a
And
nice
then
season.
and then I think the last one, Spikes.
The owner, one and only.
Spiker.
And how was your finale to the season?
No, it wasn't too great. I still had a chance for drivers P3 champions, and I thought, okay, maybe I can do it tonight. But unfortunately, at the start of the race, I lost. Well, not lost, but got a wing damage and just fell behind. So yeah, the race just didn't go to with me for tonight. So
Well, it was a fantastic season. We've got 5 of yous in here. How many of you 5 will be racing in the finale tomorrow night?
I'll be racing there.
Same,
yes,
yeah.
I'll be here.
Yeah,
It's
me
just
too.
harsh.
I think it's just Austin doesn't race there.
I think it's just Harsh Cartoon. So it's gonna get to do this all over again one more time, of course, tomorrow night. that championship, I think, is still in play. It would take one heck of a result. But I think Weeze is obviously the favorite over there. It's for he would be P2, so very similar scenario. But of course, anything can happen in the race. But before I go, I do have. Oh, this is a lot to read. Let me see. Which one am I supposed to read? The top one or the bottom one? Okay, the top one. This is a lot to read. I'm not a very good public speaker, so let's see if we can get through this real quick. As we gather here today at SKR, we mark the end of another thrilling season. I want to take this moment to acknowledge the incredible talent, dedication, and sportsmanship displayed by each and every one of you. Your skills on the virtual track have left us in awe, with heart-stopping overtakes, strategic pit stops, and nail-biting finishes. You've pushed the limits of what's possible in the world of EA Sports F1, and we're honoured to have witnessed it. To our championship winners, Weeze and Aston Martin, congratulations to your well-deserved titles. And to those who didn't quite reach the top step, don't be discouraged. Your passion, teamwork, and determination have inspired us all. And we have no doubt you'll be back stronger than ever next season. As we close this chapter, I want to thank each of you for making this season one to remember. Your love for racing, camaraderie, and your competitive spirit are what makes SKR so special. So here's to an unforgettable season and to many more thrilling moments to come. So I want to thank everybody that joined in the comms box. I want to thank all of you guys for the season you gave us, for the racing, for the entertainment, and of course, for all of the viewers, thank you so much for being here. If it's your first visit, you know what to do. Subscribe. If you have been here many times before, remember to leave a like on the video before you go. And of course, we will be back tomorrow night one more time. I will be back to say a final goodbye to all of you, but we'll be back in approximately 5 minutes.
Daddy bought him a seat at Williams, hoping his boy would make him proud. But every turn was filled with slip-ups in a sea of screaming crowds. The wheels would spin, the dream would fade. Another crash, another frown. He couldn't keep up with the legends, always letting his team down. Oh, Lance, he's living on a prayer, with Daddy's money everywhere. But buying dreams ain't buying skill. He's crashing hard round every hill. When the axe came down and hope seemed lost, Dad bought Aston, spare no cost. Another chance, another goal, but he's still spinning out so slow. He hits the walls, he finds the grass, breaking hopes with every pass. He's got the power, got the name, but all he brings is crashing shame. On the grid he's just a shadow of the heroes racing past. No amount of cash can save him from a future that's fading fast. Oh, Lance, he's living on a prayer, with Daddy's money everywhere. But buying dreams ain't buying skill. He's crashing hard round every hill, round every hill. When the axe came down and hope seemed lost, Dad bought Aston, spared no cost. Another chance, another goal, but he's still spinning out so slow. He hits the walls, he finds the grass, breaking hopes with every pass. He's got the power, got the name, but all he brings is crash and shame. On the grid, he's just a shadow of the heroes racing past. No amount of cash can save him from a future that's fading fast. They roared into 24 engines on fire. Max and his Red Bull racing with desire. Sergio followed, but he stumbled and trailed. In the season's first half, their victories held. Max was a lion on tracks burned gold, but halfway through the season, the car grew cold. Perez Tony struggling in his quest. Lance in his own right outdid him at best. Falling wings down from the skies, Red Bull sinking as the season flies. Max fights to keep his lid alive, while Sergio stumbles, just survive. That checkered flag once seemed a sure thing, but fortunes change fast in the racing ring. Mechanical troubles and the handling wrong. The champions yesterday now sing a broken song. Max is holding on by a thin red line, each turn a battle and every lap a time. Perez in shadows where hopes lay slain, every pit stop a prayer for racing's gain. Falling wings down from the skies, Red Bull sinking as the season flies. Max fights to keep his lid alive, while Sergio stumbles, just survives. From the skies, Red Bull sinking as the season flies. Max fights to keep his lid alive, while Sergio stumbles, just survives.